And welcome back to part 3 of What If Naruto Had the Rinnegan. So last time, we basically dealt with what was going on before Naruto joined the academy. What kind of training did he undergo? How is he handling using the Rinnegan? Does he have his paths? What does Naruto have? To sum it up real quick, Naruto has been trained in pretty good chakra control at this point. He can do the water walking and the tree walking with no problem. He was also taught the shadow clones because they all of his three of his teachers. The third doesn't. The third will come and visit and kind of give him some pointers, but obviously he's not really training him because he's the Hokage. But obviously Jiraiya and Kakashi, when Jiraiya wasn't there, taught him the Shadow Clone because they knew he wouldn't be able to do the normal clone. But the counter to that is because the Rinnegan shares all fields of vision, and this is Naruto just learning how to use these abilities. It's something that Naruto was not prepared for, and it was just sensory overload. As it stands, Naruto can use 2 clones and still be generally okay. Anything beyond that's too much for him to handle. But he figured out a way for training around that by keeping the clone's eyes closed. He also knows every basic elemental jutsu of each element, be it the fireball jutsu, the raging torrent, I think it's called. I always forget the name of that one. Gale palm, mud wall, and I always like to make up the Hado number 4 Byakurai from Bleach, the Pale Lightning, as the basic lightning one. Although someone did suggest lightning strings, and maybe I'll give him that later down the road. He has also unlocked 3 of his paths. That being said, the other paths are probably going to show up much later down in the story. He has unlocked the Preta path, which allows him to absorb and drain chakra. The Deva path, Shinra Tensei, Bansho Tensei, thank you for the person who gave him the name on that, and Chibaku Tensei, although he doesn't know Chibaku Tensei right now. He just has the almighty push and pull. Chibaku Tensei is a much different beast. And he also has the human path. Now, the human path he figured out by a mistake in a fight with one of Jiraiya's clones. And that one's a dangerous one because that can just flat out kill someone. But there's a secondary component of that technique that we're not going to address at this time. I'm not certain when, because it's not going to be addressed for some time, so I'm not sure where my placement of that part of the technique is going to play a factor in, but it will play some sort of factor later on. But let's see, we're about 2.5 minutes in. Minute worth of house cleaning right now, because I always like to do the house cleaning before we get into this, of the things people address. Naruto having a unique Rinnegan ability because his was a natural Rinnegan as opposed to Nagato and Obito's. Here's the thing. We know Madara had the Limbo clones, which it was a unique technique. Let's be honest. We haven't seen anyone else use the Limbo clones. We know Kaguya, who does have actually, she has something beyond a Rinnegan. Could go through dimensions and have a bunch of unique techniques herself. We know Hagoromo could do unique things. But because they're transplanted, you'd think those unique abilities would go towards the transplanted individual in Nagato or Obito, but they didn't. So the question is, why? I think that's mostly down to writing, bad writing. I'm not saying Naruto would have a unique ability. I'm not saying he wouldn't. For the sake of easier storytelling, I'm going to stick with he doesn't. Second off, Naruto's clothing. So I made a point of saying that Naruto's clothing would look pretty much like he does at this time. But someone did bring up a good point that Naruto's clothing was based off necessity and what was available to him, as opposed to what he actually wanted to wear. So it is a fair point to make. I think what I'm going to do is I will alter that slightly. In that Naruto doesn't have his full wardrobe for when he graduates yet. I have an idea for what he's going to do. But for right now, I think he honestly just kind of is wearing something akin to what Jiraiya wears, minus his obviously minus the scroll, but minus his vest or whatever that is. I think it's like a haro, like a long jacket. Wears something kind of akin to that, except kind of like I'm trying to figure out what color I would like on Naruto. I think I'm going with the burnt orange. I always like the burnt orange because it's a dark orange. Allows Naruto to, because let's be honest, Naruto would still go with orange. Allows Naruto to have his orange, and there you go. There was a third thing I wanted to address, and I'll admit I forgot it at this point. But either way. So we now get into the academy years. Now keep in mind, Naruto and Sasuke are both around 8. Naruto also has met Sasuke many times at this point. He hasn't gone over to his house or anything like that because obviously Fugaku and Koto probably wouldn't want Naruto over there, just for obvious reasons. And they're playing the Ichiyaku, and Itachi's kind of aware of this fact. Um, to a degree. Obviously, he was given the task of taking out his family and all that. But he still met Sasuke and Itachi throughout the village. He's even seen Hinata once or twice. So Naruto actually isn't without some people he's friends with, or at least knows to a certain level. So we do get a different aspect of Naruto here, where he actually has people he can talk to. So obviously his first day of the academy, Jiraiya's there. It's like, oh, hey, Sensei. It's like, oh, come on, I might have to head out of the village for a while, but you didn't think I wasn't going to miss your first day of school, huh? Oh, at least seeing you after your first day of school. Knocking dead, kid. Now, keep in mind, now I remember the last thing I wanted to address was the whole concept of he's gaining some wisdom, like of the sage. Keep in mind that despite Naruto's lack of academic intelligence, he is someone who's actually fairly perceptive. He identified that Lee was a hard trainer just from the scars on his arms. He's able to kind of get some instincts into people's. Obviously, this is Naruto because he's the main character, and he's got the talk no jutsu. But he is a bit more perceptive. He's more perceptive with personal issues. While people argue, yeah, Obito and Nagato didn't have any real wisdom or shot. No, but they also had transplanted eyes, whereas the natural Rinnegan users, Madara and Hagoromo, now obviously he was the sixth sage. Of course he had wisdom. Madara was just an older man, so at that point he had gained wisdom too. But I feel like naturally acquired Rinnegans, especially when you are the reincarnation of one of the two brothers. In this case, Naruto's reincarnation of Ashura, who was the brother of the chakra, and I believe the more wisdom-oriented brother, I guess we can say. I feel like, here's the thing, Naruto's not going to just be spilling out philosophy like, oh no, this is the way, it's like, you know, it's like, I'm only 8, but I talk like a 50-year-old man. It's like, you should know the difference about this and this. It's okay. We're all going to, no, he's not going to be doing that. But I feel like Naruto is able to pick up on things a little bit better. And he's also able to understand the responsibility and the weight of something like the Rinnegan, after being explained what it is and what it represents, carries. So I feel like he's at least a bit more in tune with these issues than he might be otherwise. So there you go. But Naruto would go in for his first day of class. Kakashi would be there too to see him off and says, hey, I won't be able to help you out every day, Naruto, or be your everyday Naruto, but I'll walk you from class the days I can. It's like, thanks, Kakashi Sensei, or Kakashi Sensei. I think he could even call him Big Bro Kakashi. I think he could actually see Kakashi as like an older brother figure, because I think spending time with Naruto like he probably should have been doing instead of wallowing in his own self-pity. Love Kakashi, but come on, dude, you should have been spending time with him. You should have been helping him out more. Instead of wallowing in that, and you're like, oh, come on, my friends are dead. It's like, hey, look, that sucks. I'm sorry, but your sensei's son, a guy you had like a father figure mentality for, to the best of our knowledge, is still around. You could have made yourself present, relevant, and helpful. I digress. So anyway, we're 8 minutes and I've barely done the what if. So Naruto, first day of class, they do the name call, and Naruto actually sees Sasuke. He's like, Sasuke! Oh, hey, and remember, this is Sasuke before the Uchiha Massacre. He's much more lively, much more, light and jovial. He's willing, he likes, talking, interacting with certain people. And I believe at this point, too, girls haven't fangirled over him yet. We actually don't know when the fangirling started. I think it was because after the Uchiha Massacre, he was A, the best student in the class, and B, he was acting the cold, aloof type. Like, ooh, the girls wanted him. I think that was part of it. I mean, granted, I'm sure he had like admirers anyway, but still, I think that was part of it. Sasuke, Naruto, how you doing? It's like, yeah, great, we're doing great. Oh man, I can't wait for this. We're gonna be ninja friendly. Yeah, that's right. It's like, and then Naruto gazes over and he actually sees Hinata sitting over there. Now Hinata, even though he's probably seen him once or a few times since their interaction prior, hasn't had a lot of interaction with still, but he does recognize her and her name. He knows her name. So, Hinata, you're here too, right on. So, I'm not going to do the voice, but I'll lighten my voice enough that we know it's not Hinata. Oh, hi, Naruto. How are you? how are you? I'm great. I can't believe we're gonna all be trained together. Oh, Sasuke, this is Hinata. Oh, hi, I'm Sasuke too. I'm Hinata Hyuga, and they all sit together. So it's like they're all talking. And, their classes go about the same for the first day. They sit around each other at lunch. Obviously, Sakura and Ino would be sitting with each other. Kiba's probably sitting himself, so is Shino, Shikamaru, and Choji. And I think that would kind of be your day in, day out kind of scenario where Hinata, Sasuke, and Naruto actually are generally good friends at school. Naruto doesn't always have someone to walk him home, obviously with Kakashi and everything, but it's okay because he knows he's still got friends. No, he knows he's got people who care about him. Things are now really looking up for him. He also knows that if villagers try to mess with him, he'll just quickly pre-path them and be like, oh, are you okay? I'm sorry. Oh, dear. Yeah. It's like, yeah, no one's really going to mess with me at this point. Because, what are they going to do? Now, we should know before we get to the Uchiha Massacre part of the story, because that's what really this is. We're kind of illustrating what the day in, day out for Naruto is right now. And Naruto would also be working on maybe trying to up the amount of clones he can use, in general. That'd still be difficult. Naruto is, again, still as much powerful as he is. He's still young. Like, I believe I described him as a high tuning, low jonin in terms of actual power, but in terms of his experience, oh no, he's still a genin in terms of, he's not even a genin. He's an academy student. He doesn't have the experience to really, take on a jonin, and guaranteed coming out as the winner. There's a good chance given the level of abilities he has, but like if he fought Kakashi would still win. He would still outright win. Guy would still outright win. Like any of the real jonin leaders of any major jonin of the Hidden Leaf would win. Well, Ebisu would probably lose, but that's Ebisu. Like if he went up against any really competent Chunin, there's a good chance he could still lose, just because they're far more experienced than he is. Experience, Jiraiya, I think, once actually said it best. I believe he said it, or it's been used multiple times that he said it, that you could have someone who has the strongest S-rank jutsu ever, and have someone who has the weakest E-rank jutsu. I think E is the lowest they go. E-rank jutsu ever. However, if the user of the strongest has never used it before, doesn't even know how to use it properly, and the other guy has mastered the E-rank jutsu, the guy with the E-rank jutsu is going to win more times than the guy with the S-rank jutsu. It's a similar premise here. But how does Naruto actually do in classes? Well, remember what I said earlier. Naruto isn't academically smart. Now, I do think he'd actually do better in his classes than he does in the canon, because I think having the Rinnegan, I'm hearing what it is, would give him a better interest in things like history and things along those lines. So, like, in topics like history, ninja, academics, whatever, that's fine. But, like, mathematics and stuff like that, no, Naruto still would suck at this. He would still really suck at that, things like that. He would still do very well in all the other academic courses of the Ninja Academy, be it, like, ninjutsu practice, whatever that might be, because there's physical fitness, things along those lines. Naruto would excel. We do know that there were sparring matches, because we see that actually in the manga. There are sparring matches in the Ninja Academy. There's probably like a physical fitness course. We don't actually know what the full graduation exam entailed, because here's the thing. You're supposed to learn all three of the Academy's jutsu, the substitution, clone, and what's the other one? I forget. Oh, transformation jutsu. And I'm sure Naruto would learn, again, minus the clone jutsu. He would learn all those. But we don't actually know what the full... We know there was a written portion, and then they just tested on the clone jutsu. It's like, wait, shouldn't they know all three of them? Shouldn't you be testing all three of them? That's the thing where I feel like fanfics actually do better at it than the series did at explaining how you graduate. I've seen some where it's like, okay, and if you can if you have any special technique you want to demonstrate too, please demonstrate that as well. I've seen it like that. Either way, though, that is the basis of what Naruto's four-ish years at the academy are kind of going to look like, up until the killing of the Uchiha clan, the slaughtering of the clan. Now, after the slaughtering of the Uchiha clan, we cut to like the next day at school where Sasuke doesn't come in, and there's murmurs, and Naruto's like, oh, what's going on? And Hinata actually chimes in and says, Naruto, something happened. It's Sasuke. Is it, what about Sasuke? What happens? Is he okay? Sasuke's okay, but Naruto, all of his clan, they were killed. I was like, what? They were. What do you mean they were killed? And again, the name Itachi is known. Like Itachi was actually a pretty well known ninja at that point. And he was a prodigy, and so they basically Naruto finds out through the sources he needs to find out that Sasuke or that Sasuke survived, but Itachi, one of the two people who saved his life, killed his clan. And Naruto is just trying to figure out what the hell happened. Why? Why would he do this? Why? And Naruto is his anger is like his confusion, his anger is flaring. And I was like, I don't know, but I hope Sasuke. And it's like, ugh. And Hinata like holds it. Naruto, please, it's like, please calm down. It's like, ugh. And Naruto's calming down, and she actually gets a moment. Looks like, Naruto, your eyes. And Naruto realizes his emotions got the better of him, and it caused this jutsu to stop time out for a little bit. It's like, it's like, what were your eyes? It's like, that's a bit difficult to say at this point, Hinata. I'll tell you after lunch. How about that, when there's no one around to really see or hear? It's like, okay. She's now really curious and like confused. More so but still they're worried about their friend. They're worried about Sasuke. Now Sasuke, I don't think Sasuke came into class that following day. I don't think it's fully said whether he did or not, but I'm assuming he didn't. Like most of us, we probably wouldn't go into school that day. But so while trying, talking about Sasuke and it's like, how can we help him and all that, they get to lunch and, they're eating lunch and they're trying to have a nice conversation, but they're both just thinking about things like, it's like, I just don't understand why Itachi would do this. He helped save my life when I was younger. It's like, really? It's like, yeah, I mean, he and Sasuke found me one night after some villagers were beating me up. It's like, that's terrible. Why would it say, it's a long story, but wait, does it have something to do with your eyes? Oh, that, yeah, because Naruto actually kind of forgot. Like, yeah, a little bit. Look, and he actually whispers, look, this is a really big secret. Like, I'm not actually supposed to tell anyone right now. But you're one of my closest friends, Hinata, and I can trust you. But you gotta promise not to show and not to tell or show anyone what I'm going to show you. I promise. Like, and Hinata, who obviously at this point is Naruto's friend, but also clearly has a bit of a crush on him. It's like, no, I would never do that. Agrees. Hinata, I feel like is still got confidence in her, but Naruto cheers her on and all that. And help people. That was the thing someone brought up. I was like, would Hinata still get the same kind of encouragement from Naruto she does in the original series? Not the exact same kind, because Naruto, being the proud failure, helped inspire her, but because this Naruto and her are interacting and are friends and know each other personally, I do still think she gets that encouragement, just from a different source, that Naruto is always there to encourage her. Same with Sasuke too, before this happened. So he, deactivates he focuses on chakra and deactivates it, and he shows his eyes to her. It's like, and she's just, wow. It's like, your eyes they're beautiful, Naruto. It's like, oh, thanks. I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, they're great. But what is it? It's a special jutsu, Ijutsu or dojutsu that that's only been around, only activates for some once in like a lifetime. At least that's what my sensei told me. He's like, what's it called? And he goes, and she whispers, it's called the Rinnegan. And she actually, because he's again, not like super wisdom or anything like that, but he's smart enough to know, it's like, okay, I need to keep this a secret. But again, she's my friend. I care about her, and I don't want secrets between me and my friends. So and her eyes widen because she's heard of that. Like, there are even though most like kids probably haven't like heard of like the great like sage six paths except in legend, the Rinnegan is something that with like the main clans like the Hyuga and the Uchiha, there is probably some record of that, and she's heard. It's like, whoa, but I've heard of that. It's like, yeah, and he puts his technique back up. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't. I'm going to just say Naruto can't turn his Rinnegan off, just to make it more fun. Unfortunately, I can't turn it off, and anyone who saw this would probably, flip out. Plus, there's people who probably want this power, so I got to be really careful with it right now. Unfortunately, anytime I use a jutsu, fires up. He's like, Futon Gale Palm, as he, fires off a Gale Palm into the trees. His eyes briefly flicker back into the Rinnegan. Like, yeah, anytime I use that, it drops the illusion a little bit. And I guess when I'm getting, I don't know, when my emotions get the better of me, it shows off my eyes too. I was like, well, I think that's amazing, Naruto. You're so amazing. He's like, well, yeah, I've got a long way to go though. I've learned a little bit about this, but there's still so much more I got to learn. As maybe I'll show you at some point, but right now let's eat our lunch, and they eat our lunch. So a few days finally pass, and Sasuke comes back to class. Obviously, he's a bit more despondent. He isn't interacting with anyone. Naruto and Hinata try to get his attention. No, it's Sasuke. It's like Naruto. And at least he actually acknowledged it. Like, he's not really giving anyone acknowledgement pretty much, except he does give the two closest friends he actually had, apart from Itachi. He's some acknowledgement. He's like, hey, are you okay? We heard what happened. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. And yeah, he's like, you're not fine. He's like, I'm fine. Leave it alone. And no, the class goes on, and clearly Sasuke's trying to distance himself now. He's no longer eating lunch with them. He at least sat with them. Like, he's not completely walling himself off here. Because again, I don't know in the original if Sasuke had legitimate friends beforehand, or people just like, oh, the Uchiha. It's probably the latter. And this one, he at least had actual friends, so he at least felt it prudent to sit near him. And at least kind of give them some sort of time of day. So that is kind of how it goes for a little while. And just like, I'm worried about Sasuke. Yeah, I am too. And we're gonna leave this off now with basically Naruto going by and seeing Sasuke sit at the bridge, and he just kind of goes, and because he remembers lonely. He remembers what it's like to be lonely. And before people were actually giving him the time of day and actually helping him, and before he had friends. Now Sasuke's without a family. His family's gone. His brother betrayed him and Naruto. Naruto still can't wrap his head around this, why he would do it. But he just goes, and he doesn't say anything. This is one of those moments where, like, that little bit of wisdom comes back in, plus personal relation. He sits down next to Sasuke. Sasuke does acknowledge, like, Naruto just kind of sits there and just keeps him company. He's like, I'm not, and Naruto, and Sasuke looks like, I'm not going to say it. And he's like, the only thing he says is, like, I'm just going to sit here with you, man. I'm just going to sit here. They sit here and they kind of just look at, the sunset and the river. I think there was a river. I know there's water in that sea. It's either a lake or a river. Either way, they look at the water and they kind of just enjoy the quiet. That need of catharsis. And that's kind of how that goes for Naruto and Sasuke for a while. Like, every now and then, around a certain time of day, Naruto would end up finding Sasuke there. And even then, sometimes he would bring like a drink or some like a snack like dango or something like that. And they would actually eat in silence. And Sasuke would actually be appreciative of it. Just Eventually, though, Sasuke is just because clearly Sasuke's been trying to distance himself. It's like he finally just kind of opens up. It's like, why? And it's like, Naruto's like, huh? And I can imagine this could go on for like a year. So you're looking at them now like at age 9, maybe even 9.5. But going for a year and just like, Sasuke's like, why? Why do you keep coming here, Naruto? Why? You can't tell I don't want to deal with you anymore. Don't want to deal with you and Hinata. I don't need anyone. I just need to get stronger. I need to get Itachi. Why? Why won't you leave me alone? Like he finally kind of just cracks a bit. Not snaps, but cracks. It's like that emotion's finally getting there. Like, and Sasuke was enjoying it too, which is why it's bothering him more. Like, he's been trying to distance himself so he can go on his own path. And Naruto's just looks like, because you're my friend. And I'm not gonna leave you. And just like, he's like, you don't understand. I need to be alone for this. I need to do this by yourself. Like, and Naruto just looks like, that's the thing, man. You don't have to do this alone. You've still got me. You got Hinata. We've got your back. You're a friend. You're a friend till the end. Because we don't know time wise when, like, day, month kind of thing, when the Chia massacre happened. We know what had happened right around there. Like Sasuke going to the academy. I'm going to say about halfway through their first year in the academy. And I can imagine Naruto and Sasuke and Hinata actually becoming really good friends. At least at school. And unfortunately, Naruto isn't really welcome probably at the Hyuga or Uchiha compound. So take that for what it's worth. But Sasuke, is finally just he comes Break does it. Why? He's like, why can't you understand? I had bonds. I had my family, my friends. Tachi was probably was the guy I worked up to, and he betrayed, and he broke that trust. Don't you understand? I won't risk that with you. I was like, yeah, and I'm not risking I'm not risking losing a friend with you. Or something. And I'm not. I bet he could say, and we're not risking losing you as a friend. And he actually looks like, isn't that right, Hinata? And there's Hinata, who, let's be honest, still probably stalks Naruto a little bit. Not nowhere near as bad as she did, but she still probably stalks him a little bit. Because she's also concerned for Sasuke, and, she probably wonders what Naruto does sometimes. And despite the fact they're much closer and could probably hang out by themselves, she still probably follows him just in secret to see what he does. She's probably at some point followed them here. And, Naruto having probably good sensory output because Rinnegan can see chakra just fine. It's not as piercing as the Byakugan. It doesn't copy techniques like the Rinnegan. Someone had asked that, and no, the Rinnegan doesn't copy techniques. But he was probably aware she was there. So he eventually kind of like, isn't that right, Hinata? And Hinata actually just kind of yeets, but she gets from behind the tree and walks down. It's like, Naruto, and she still probably has a bit of a stutter. It's probably not as bad because Naruto's given her some confidence. So Sasuke, Naruto's right, Sasuke. No matter what has happened, no matter how hard it is, we're friends, and friends don't leave each other. Friends don't abandon each other, no matter what. And Hinata actually, because she wouldn't want her friends to abandon her either, and she wants to be there for her friends. It's the first time, except for the beginning of when she talks, that she hasn't stuttered really in all face. And even Naruto's impressed, and Sasuke kind of is a little taken back. Just, he's finally, he's got his fists clenched, but he's kind of looking down, but he's got tears in his eyes. He's driving in, but guys, and Hinata goes and just gives him a hug, and Naruto gives him a big bear hug too. It's like, yeah, I hate you so much right now. But he's at the same time he's smiling too, which is like, I hate you guys so much right now. It's like, back at you idiot. It's like, because let's be honest, it's like, yo, who are you calling an idiot? Yeah, you dumb. You really think you're gonna get rid of us that easy? It's like, and it's like, we're in this guy. We're friends till the end. Friends till the end. And we'll help you, and no matter what we can, just right, man. We'll all get stronger together, and that's a promise of a lifetime. And he holds out his hand with a fist bump, and believe it. And Hinata holds out her hand, and Sasuke he kind of wipes his eyes, and he's actually got a good legit smile on his face for the first time in maybe a year. And he's got he holds out his hands like, believe it. Whoop, my mouth, sorry. And and that is where we're going to head off. We'll basically catch up near the end of their time in the academy. Basically near graduation. How has the class been interacting with Sasuke? Does Ino and Sakura have a crush on Naruto? Do they have a crush thing for Sasuke? How they've all kind of progressed, and then basically get into graduation in the next part. But until then, thank you, and that will be on Wednesday. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. That is the end of the week of What If for this week. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win. Star Wars, superhero, magic, what if, anything I do on the channel, put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to that at some point. This is the week of who would win coming up. Plus, last death battle of the years tomorrow. I'm tempted to do a reaction. I am tempted. But the problem is I know I'm going to get flagged or I'm just going to get copyrighted, whatever. So because I do death battle predictions, at this point I don't do reactions. I'll give you my thoughts on it. Maybe that's what I'll do instead. For the end of the year death battle, I'll give us my thoughts on the death battle instead. Assuming they don't surprise us with giving us at least the first battle of the new year coming. Anyway, and I got the Q&A later this week, so keep your eyes out for that. The Some Like It Hot edition. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one, folks.